That night in Istanbul will forever be remembered as one of the greatest nights in sporting history. Almost 2 decades down the line, we still remember the Herculean comeback orchestrated by Steven Gerrard and co. against one of the most feared sides to ever step foot on the pitch. The comeback story has often made people overlook just how good this Milan team was back in the day, boasting individual brilliance in the form of Maldini, Nesta, Stam and Cafu, and that's just the back four that started in the Champions League final that year. Add Pirlo, Gattuso and Clarence Seedorf to form the dynamic three in midfield, with Kaka as the number 10, and then they were accompanied up top by the highly rated duo of Andriy Shevchenko and Hernan Crespo, including Dida in goal, and you get one of the most well-rounded and physically dominant teams of that era. This list of all-time great names in the AC Milan ranks raises a couple of questions. Firstly, how did this team manage to slip from a 3-goal lead at halftime on the biggest stage? Everyone gives credit to Liverpool for pulling off a miracle, and rightly so. But what happened from Milan's perspective in that second 45-minute period? It's quite interesting to think about. The second question is regarding their underwhelming collection of domestic silverware under Don Carlo's 8-year-long tenure from 2001 to 2009. AC Milan, under the reign of Carlo Ancelotti, saw many European highs, but a fair few Scudetto lows as well. It's important to note that AC Milan had flourished over the past 2 decades before the turn of the century. It is still widely considered that the 80s and 90s were the golden era for the club, that saw Milan lift 3 Champions League titles and 6 Scudettos. They also lay claim over 2 Intercontinental Cups, 3 European Super Cups, and 4 Italian Super Cups. Not a bad haul considering just how competitive Italian football was back in the day. This was the era of Franco Baresi, Marco van Basten, Ruud Gullit, Paolo Maldini, and who else but Carlo Ancelotti, whose managerial accolades have somehow overshadowed his brilliant playing days. Ancelotti was a crucial cog in the AC Milan machinery from 1987 to 1992. He was a versatile midfielder, gifted with creativity and vision to make line-breaking passes and create chances for his teammates. A welcome presence in the locker room due to his natural leadership and charisma. Ancelotti won back-to-back Champions League titles with AC Milan in 1989 and 1990. Arrigo Sacchi was one of the most successful managers for AC Milan. It is widely acknowledged that he made Ancelotti play in the deep-lying midfielder role with the responsibility of managing the game's tempo. This role was later perfected by Andrea Pirlo under the management of Ancelotti himself, who probably understood the role better than most. In fact, Ancelotti was the one responsible for moving Pirlo deeper into the midfield and letting him dictate the tempo, which he did very well. Arrigo Sacchi's team structure and philosophy laid the groundwork for Fabio Capello to take over and win 4 league titles in just 5 years during the early 90s. This team also overcame Johan Cruyff's impeccable Barcelona side in the 1994 Champions League final to add a 5th Champions League trophy to their cabinet. Milan reached the knockout stages of the competition a few times in the next 5 years, but failed to win again. They managed to win the Italian league once under Alberto Zaccheroni, but the golden era and the silverware collection seemed to have come to a halt. This was further amplified as the 2000-2001 season saw AC Milan drop to 6th in the league. The Champions League journey was disappointing and resulted in Zaccheroni getting sacked. A few underwhelming appointments later, Carlo Ancelotti joined AC Milan in November 2001. Lovingly known as Carletto in Italy since his playing days, he had to make do with the squad available to him as the board didn't allow any new signings due to heavy expenditure in the previous transfer window. Ancelotti's arrival was preceded by the signings of Rui Costa, Andrea Pirlo and Filippo Inzaghi from Fiorentina, Inter and Juventus respectively. All 3 signings came for a hefty sum back then. Suffice it to say, he had a stacked squad to work with. Fan and media expectations about his ability to turn things around weren't skyrocketing at first. It felt like an underwhelming match as Milan was coming off of a very successful couple of decades, and it was feared that the era was coming to an end, while Ancelotti had been sacked by Juventus due to failure to win any trophies in the 2 years he was in charge. But being a Rossoneri himself, he was received warmly by fans and players alike. What seemed like a mismatch on paper was gradually disregarded as Carlo Ancelotti started to establish a formidable 4-3-1-2 setup, which was initially criticized by the club's hierarchy and the straightforward Italian media for being too defensive. This pragmatic approach was almost necessary in hindsight once you take a look at the Italian counterparts and their reliance on defensive records to win titles. You can even still see remnants of the 4-3-1-2 setup in the current day Real Madrid under Ancelotti. The roles of players in midfield have changed over time, but positionally, the Diamond 4 formation has worked well for him. But it only appeared pragmatic when Ancelotti was first appointed as the manager. After a few months passed by, the transitions of play from defense to attack started forming a core identity of the Rossoneri playing style. Milan's ability to absorb pressure out of possession and quickly turn it around into a threatening attack once in possession proved to be crucial to their continental matchups. The following summer transfer window saw the arrival of Alessandro Nesta, who was their record transfer that window and helped strengthen an already strong back four. Dutch midfielder Clarence Seedorf came from bitter rivals Inter along with Dario Simic. More arrivals included goalkeeper Dida and a big-name signing by the name of Rivaldo, who came from Barcelona for free. Carlo Ancelotti's first season in Milan was immensely successful, even though Milan narrowly missed out on a treble. That's right, Milan won their 6th Champions League final that season against bitter rivals Juventus. A 0-0 draw was followed by Milan coming out on top in the penalty shootout. They won the Coppa Italia as well that season after a 26-year-long wait, just missing out on the Scudetto after being on top of the league in January and coming 3rd by the end of the season. But all in all, a very good first impression for Carlo Ancelotti's Rossoneri side. Clarence Seedorf set a special personal record with that Champions League win as he became the first player in history to win the European title with 3 different clubs. He won with Ajax in 1995, Real Madrid in 1998, and then twice with Milan under Ancelotti. The next season saw Milan clinch the only Scudetto that Carlo Ancelotti would go on to win during his 8-year-long AC Milan stint. This was complemented by a Supercoppa Italia victory over Lazio thanks to a Shevchenko hat-trick. Arrivals in the summer window included Kaka from Sao Paulo and a 33-year-old Cafu on a free transfer from Roma. Before the Trent Alexander-Arnolds, Robertsons and Frimpongs of the world took over the pinnacle of attacking fullback acclaim, Cafu was the name when you thought about attacking defenders. His pacey overlaps down the right wing and pinpoint crosses were way ahead of their time. A shift in the formation that season helped utilize Andrea Pirlo in a deeper role and Rui Costa as the prime creator. This change of position for Pirlo turned out to be one of the greatest contributions from Ancelotti. The diamond midfield worked out great, largely due to the tireless efforts of Gattuso and Seedorf running up and down the field. Then came the infamous 2004-2005 season, which saw the arrivals of Hernan Crespo from Chelsea and Jaap Stam from Lazio. Rivaldo departed as his transfer did not work out as well as the club hierarchy had expected. He amassed only 22 appearances with 5 goals that season. The race for the Italian league title was extremely close as Milan and Juventus fought for pole position. After 34 games, Milan were on top of the table with Juventus up next at home. A disappointing 1-0 loss to the title contenders and 3 subsequent draws saw them relinquish the title to Juventus. The Champions League journey seemed sure-footed after they topped their group and went on to eliminate Manchester United, arch-rivals Inter and PSV Eindhoven. The final stage was set for AC Milan to play Liverpool in Istanbul. It was the dream start for Milan as club captain Paolo Maldini's weak-footed volley found the back of the net within 50 seconds. A Hernan Crespo brace saw the favourites AC Milan leading by 3 goals at half-time. The result seemed to have been decided already, but the miracle in Istanbul was yet to occur. Within just 6 minutes, a shell-shocked AC Milan found themselves level on the scores as Liverpool scored 3 quick-fire goals through Steven Gerrard and Vladimir Smisser and a saved penalty scored on the rebound by Xabi Alonso. The crowd was stunned and suddenly Liverpool had this raging fire inside them. Dida and Dudek, both goalkeepers, deserve a special mention for their respective performances. Dudek even mentioned that the save against Shevchenko's 117th minute strike was the save of his life. It almost felt like the night was scripted. After a goalless extra time, the game moved on to penalties. The first 2 Milan penalties didn't go in. Shevchenko was the 5th penalty taker for Milan and he needed to score to keep them in the tie. An unsure strike down the middle was saved by Dudek's outstretched left leg and Liverpool had completed the miracle of Istanbul. Funnily enough, Arsenal manager Arsene Wenger had stated before the match that even though the Milan side were favourites to win, the team looked jaded after losing out on the Scudetto. He said that this was the best chance Liverpool could get at overcoming this legendary side, and overcoming that legendary side in Milan, they sure did. The soul-crushing defeat was followed by one of the greatest football scandals in Italy. Calciopoli was the name given to this match-fixing scandal that shook Serie A, with ripples felt in Serie B as well. Phone tappings revealed that executives from clubs were colluding with referees and influencing match results. Juventus, Lazio and Fiorentina were relegated and given a points deduction. Milan was caught in the crossfire and was punished subsequently. Juventus was stripped of 2 league titles, but Milan couldn't lay stake to their claim on those titles due to their involvement in the scandal too. The 2006-2007 season started with an 8-point deduction, which dimmed title hopes from the start of the season. The sale of Shevchenko was the most expensive transfer for a 30-year-old. Milan was able to win their 7th Champions League title in 2007 after a revengeful win against Liverpool, but soon after, the Rossoneri failed to win much silverware under Carlo Ancelotti. The rich history of this club shows sure signs of them coming back to their former glory. They currently stand 2nd in the league, with crosstown rivals Inter already crowned champions. The last 3 years have seen 3 different clubs lift the Scudetto, including Milan in 2021-22. The sign of better things ahead is also visible with their focus on the academy and promoting youth. 16-year-old centre-forward Francesco Camara is one of the newest sensations playing for their under-19s. 22-year-old Daniele Maldini still has time to carry the family torch and legacy up high. The Rossoneri have a passionate fan base that is now itching to get a glimpse of their past triumphs.